IT Hero Podcast Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fourth episode of our IT Hero Podcast Show. Let me start with a question. Have you had difficulties finishing a certificate? We start with the dream of getting the certificate, but we somehow lose the motivation and then we struggle to finish and get that certification, right? So, in today's show, we have someone who has completed more than 21 certificates in a variety of environments or variety of vendors, I should say. So, I am super excited today. So, without further delay, I am going to introduce someone who is a cloud solution architect, a certified DevOps and a multi-cloud practitioner. I am honored to welcome Ajit on the call. Hey, Ajit.
Hey, hi Prithvi. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining.
Sure,
So,
sure, no problem.
give us a brief history of your journey and let's kickstart.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks Prithvi for having me on this show. So yeah, I'm Ajit, currently working as a cloud solutions architect with a cloud consulting company in India. I'm obsessed with DevOps and cloud in general, particularly AWS, and have implemented the same for multiple customers across the globe. Yeah. So that was about me. I'm really looking forward to this podcast. Thank you once again.
Awesome, Ajit. Thanks. I thought you will talk about your little cat in your home.
Yeah. For now, I have kicked her out of the room. So
Okay.
yeah, maybe.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Great. So, you have 10 years of experience. That's like a decade, right? And the role that you're doing right now is a solution architect role. Um, so, give us a brief idea about what is a solution architect's day-to-day job.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So since I'm a hands-on cloud architect or a cloud solutions architect, my day-to-day activities involve creating and implementing cloud solutions. Mostly they are on AWS, setting up the DevOps platform, creating the framework for ideal DevOps pipelines, attending customer calls as a delivery architect, consulting the delivery teams for their issues, their challenges they're facing, and yeah, so those were some of my day-to-day activities. There is a long list, but yeah, I can think of these many activities right now.
Oh, okay. I know you won't give the complete list. That's not the trade secret. So I am curious also to know, although you have so many works and as a solution architect, you had to meet your targets and a lot of timelines involved. How did you manage to do so many certifications, and what's the motivation behind that?
Yeah. So when I started my cloud journey back in 2017, I saw so many people on LinkedIn getting multiple certifications on AWS, Azure. So looking at them, I got really inspired and wanted to follow their learning path. So once I started, it really became addictive. And currently, due to the COVID situation since last 1 year or so, I got ample amount of time to prepare for the same. So yeah, here I am.
Awesome. Okay, so LinkedIn is the motivation for you. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good to know.
Yep.
Nice. So, did certifications really help you? Or did you do it out of your passion? I am curious to know how it helped in your career.
Yeah. So yes, it definitely helped me. Sometimes when you work on a project, the scope of the implementation remains very limited actually. So however, while preparing for a certification, you have to dive deeper in all the areas. So yeah, it certainly helps you to learn about areas where you didn't get an opportunity to work on a live project. So yeah, that really helps when you actually prepare for the certification.
Oh, okay, okay. Which certifications you had a lot of effort and time. It took all your energy. Anything like that?
Yeah. So the CK certification was the most rewarding,
Okay,
Certified Kubernetes Administrator. So it is a hands-on exam, and in 3 hours you have to complete a close to 19 problems.
okay.
So yeah, that was the most rewarding for me.
CK. Okay, okay. How much time it took, like for preparation and all?
Since I was working on a hands-on project, it took around 1 month or so to actually prepare for the certification. The
Okay.
hands-on experience really helped me to crack that one.
Nice, nice. I think that's a good opportunity for you. So yeah,
Yep.
good job. Now moving on, you are into multi-cloud and you worked with a lot of customers and you've had activities or day-to-day activities that you do with multi-cloud. I'm just curious, or I'd like to know more about which cloud is mostly used and which you found it more efficient for the customers.
So basics of the cloud computing will always remain the same. So to be really honest, I have worked most of my career on AWS and
Okay,
some part of Azure. So yeah, I personally prefer AWS since I started my cloud journey with AWS. So it is quite close to my heart.
okay,
So if you consider multi-cloud, I'm yet a beginner on that.
okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, if someone is starting fresh into the cloud world, which
Mhm.
which vendor or which is the easiest one? AWS, Azure, GCP?
Okay. Yeah. So as I said before, the basics of cloud computing will remain the same. So as a fresher, you can get started with any of the public cloud, maybe AWS or Azure. But I personally prefer AWS as I also started my cloud journey with AWS. So yeah, I would personally prefer AWS over other cloud providers.
Okay, right. So AWS has a lot of advantage also in terms of market acquisition. So I think it will
Yeah,
also help in terms of career also, right? You can get jobs
correct,
easily.
correct.
Understood,
Yes.
understood. Do you think one should be, a multi-cloud expert, or only one cloud, learning one cloud and working on it can give you more, opportunities or scope in the future? Is multi-cloud
Okay.
required?
Okay. Okay. A good question. I would suggest you to dive deep in one of the cloud and explore all the services they provide. Once you get accustomed to one of the cloud, learning the other cloud should be relatively easy for you since you all know all the fundamentals of one cloud. So
Okay.
the basics will remain the same across Google Cloud, Azure, and all the rest of the providers. So yeah, stick with one provider, maybe AWS or Azure. Get
Uh-huh.
into the deep of that particular cloud, and then maybe once you get accustomed to or you feel comfortable, then you can move to other clouds.
Okay, okay. So building blocks should be stronger in one and then you can develop
Yeah,
more. For the listeners, right, I'm going to put a list or a link in the description for them to check all your batches. So your Credly page is really inspirational. Since you get inspired from LinkedIn, I hope listeners get to see these batches and they get inspired. I think if 50 percentage of this batch, if someone has, right, they can become a solution architect in my opinion. So I'm going to take your permission and put your link above your batches. Is that okay?
sure, sure. Yeah, that will be fine. But just a disclaimer from my end. So certification is just a piece of paper. You have to back your knowledge with the same. Okay, so
Yeah.
just only doing certification won't help you actually. You must
Hmm.
have good hands-on knowledge, and you should have eagerness to dive deeper into various subjects and get good amounts of hands-on knowledge.
Got it. Got it. What was your eagerness, Ajit? What made you stick to the process actually? Because people quit right after starting something and then suddenly you lose the inspiration. How did you stick to it?
Mm, Actually, I didn't get the question. Sorry, can you
Oh,
repeat
okay.
again? I
Sure.
will have to.
No, I'm telling you, I'm asking, I think I've asked this question as a in the starting of the podcast, but I'm asking it again. Since you said you
Mm,
have to stick with it, like once you start
mhm.
the course, you have to continuously learn and put a lot of effort. I'm just curious
Right.
to know what was your inspiration and how did you hold on to that, dream of
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
the certification? Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, fortunately, over the course of my career, I always got good mentors and managers. So all of them
Ah,
really pushed me hard and helped me to unleash my potential. So definitely a lot of credit goes to all of them. So all the
okay,
employees really backed me. So yeah,
okay.
yeah, all because of them.
So that's your mentor. I brought this question specifically because I know you have mentored a lot of people, I think more than 100 students or candidates, I should say. So they have learned a lot from you. So that's a very good job. I think you should be really proud of that.
Yeah, sure.
So good job. Right. Moving on. So you were a cloud engineer for a while, and then you switched into DevOps, if I'm not wrong. So how did that transition happen?
Okay. Yeah, basically I started as a developer. In the initial years, I was working as a software developer, mostly in PHP. Then I later on I became a tech lead, and I got an opportunity with the company to learn cloud. So from there, actually, my willingness to learn cloud actually improved over there. Okay, so yeah, since last 3.5 years, I'm currently close from 2017 or so. I'm working on cloud technologies. So initially, I had to do some engineering activities because you cannot be a solutions architect directly. So you have
Yeah.
to go to the process. Yeah, since I come from a development background, I have to. So I went through a process where I learned about cloud engineering. So I did lots of hands-on tasks. Then actually, I became a cloud architect or a DevOps architect. Yeah.
Okay.
So to sum it up, if you want to move from cloud to DevOps, so you
Yeah.
should know the following tools and technologies to get started. Actually, you should
Okay.
know the basics of Git and types of Git workflows. Any build tool like Maven, Ant, or Gradle. So it depends upon your programming language. Any code quality tool like SonarQube. Yeah, then basics of Docker and Kubernetes. Nowadays, due to the advent of microservices, you should at least know the basics of Docker and Kubernetes. So as Docker as a container runtime and Kubernetes as a container orchestration. So if you know Kubernetes, you'll always have an edge over others. Okay, so I strongly recommend every aspiring DevOps engineer to have basic hands-on knowledge or basic learn the basics of Docker and Kubernetes, and then maybe infrastructure as code tools like Terraform to automate your infrastructure creation, and some basics of logging and monitoring. So I know that is quite long list, but
Yeah.
I think basics of all this stuff will get you started to become a DevOps engineer. Then as you learn and as you have hands-on experience, you will eventually become expert in that area.
Got it. So Kubernetes is the magic wand, I should say. So if you touch Kubernetes, automatically you have to learn a lot of other components linked with Kubernetes. So that's a very good list.
Right.
I am definitely going to put that in the description for people to take a quick look. And also,
Sure.
um, you said it's all basic, like when you say, CI and CD pipelines or JIT exposure. This is all only basics, or you think we need deeper knowledge on any particular component?
Mm, as I said, to get started, you can learn the basics, but eventually, when you grow or when you learn all the technologies, you will get expert on that area. So no one
Okay,
can become an expert in a single day. So it is a process, and you'll have to go through a process where you'll eventually get expertise in most of the areas.
true, true. Understood. Now, to become a DevOps engineer, do you think it's easy the transition from a cloud engineer through the DevOps? Do you think how much time it could take for
Mhm.
someone who's coming from system or a system admin or a systems engineer or Linux admin? They're learning cloud and
Yeah,
they're aspiring to become a DevOps. What kind of efforts they need to put?
yeah. So basically, if you are a cloud engineer, you are almost there to begin your journey as a DevOps engineer. So as I said, that you must know all the basics of all the DevOps technologies that I mentioned: Git workflow, and Maven, Ant, or Gradle. Some code quality tools like SonarQube, basics of Docker and Kubernetes to begin with, infrastructure as code tools like Terraform or CloudFormation. So using Terraform, you can build the entire cloud ecosystem on a click of a button. So basically, if you try to learn all these technologies, you can successfully become a DevOps engineer. And as I said, it will take time.
Yeah.
It won't happen instantaneously. It will take 6 or one years of time, depending on the amount of efforts you put in,
Okay.
and yeah, amount of hands-on knowledge you get.
Got it. Yeah, that's a good answer. Depends upon the amount of effort that we put. And
Right.
also, one particular important question I want to ask: how important is coding here? Someone should be really, well versed in coding. How does coding plays a big role?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I would suggest to learn basics of Python or shell programming. And also, apart from that, you should know basics of YAML scripting, as nowadays most of the integration happens using YAML scripts.
Okay.
So yeah, Python, shell, and YAML. So if you know basics, then maybe you can improve eventually. And talking about me personally, I come from a development background.
Yeah.
So from development, moving on to DevOps really helped me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, the transition was in big, hurdle.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
relatively easy, not very easy, but it was
Relatively.
relatively easy because you
Uh-huh.
understand shell, you understand Python, since you come
Hmm.
from a coding
Yeah.
background. So no matter what programming language you have worked in, I was a PHP developer to begin with.
Okay.
So yeah, so I can understand Python, I can write Python code, I can write some shell scripting, I can write Jenkins files. So yeah, so that really helped me.
Got it. Got it. Nice. So, moving on to the certification part, I am double clicking on the certifications one more time. Do you have any tips or tricks for the listeners to finish certifications? You already said that, finishing certification is alone not the path for forward, but it kind of gives a confidence. Also, it makes you feel proud that you have a list of certifications. So, give us some tips and tricks on that.
Yeah, sure. So basically, my basic funda is I try to book the exam well in advance. So suppose I want to appear for some certification,
Okay.
I will book the exam uh, of a advanced date, and then I'll start the preparation. So that
Okay.
that really helps me to keep me going actually. So
Okay.
day by day, the days become lesser, and eventually I have to speed up my process. So that really keeps me inspiring. That I have to buckle up and do it quickly. So that
Oh.
really helped me. And according to me, I think apart from your day-to-day job, if you want to upskill yourself, you should spend at least 2 hours of time on
Mm.
that, on upskilling and learning different technologies. Not only certification, even if you don't do certification, that is okay, but you should spend 2 hours of time for upskilling. That is my basic funda. And try setting realistic goals. Do not overburden yourself with
Mm.
too much of expectations.
Mm.
Try the basic ones first. And as I mentioned earlier, once you achieve a certification, it really becomes addictive and you will eventually thrive for more.
Got it. I,
Yeah.
I I understand that point when you said certifications alone doesn't matter. I remember one of our professors quote. He says C for Z. He says uh, certification is not equal to competencies. So if you have more skill, as you said, certifications doesn't really matter. So yeah, nice tip again on booking the exams little prior. The first guest, Jack Lavelle, also had the same strategy. He books the exams and then writes it so that you have an goal that's reached. So yeah, setting up
Yep.
smart
Nice.
goals. Good tips on that. Thank you, Ajit. Now we
No
come to the
problem.
end of the podcast, Ajit. I am really happy. But before we wind off, I would like to tell the listeners that this is going to be a series. We just gave an intro with Ajit, and moving forward, we will be doing at least one day in a week with Ajit in specific. We are going to talk about a lot of DevOps concept, and we're going to do a screen share and show you how to play with the components and how do you do stuff in practical. So Ajit, you can talk about a little on that.
Yeah. Sure, Prithvi. So basically, I intend to start a series on basic fundamentals of cloud and DevOps. So yeah, it would be a fun hands-on exercise for everyone. Hopefully, people will look forward to it.
Awesome. And also, I'm revealing that Ajit is also going to open a YouTube channel so soon. So you guys should look forward and you should learn a lot from people like Ajit. So yeah, Ajit, we look forward for your YouTube channel as well.
Sure. So hopefully, the first video should be out soon.
Okay.
And right now I'm stuck with picking up the channel name. It is really
Okay.
tough. Maybe you can pass on some tips to me.
Okay. Sure. We can ask the listeners as well if you can suggest any YouTube name for Ajit. You can directly reach out to Ajit in the link that's specified here for the LinkedIn account. Ajit is really jovial. He shares a lot of interesting concepts in terms of technology. So yeah. So that's it, Ajit. I am really happy that we made this podcast, and I really learned a lot of interesting concepts from you in this podcast. I am looking forward for that podcast series that we have ahead. So thank you.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Prithvi, for having me. Bye bye.
Thank you. IT Hero Podcast Show.